Welcome to What's the Score from the Blue Room in association with Fansbet, the show where me and a few of the others from the Blue Room try and predict what's going to happen in the weekend's game. An intriguing fixture this weekend as we go to Old Trafford on Sunday. A ground that's been pretty terrible for Everton, certainly in the Premier League era. We've won there twice, the first one being United's first game at home, I think, in the Premier League, when we beat them 3-0. You remember Robert Fashika did that crazy goal, flicking it over Gary Pallister's head. I think Peter Beard got 2 in that game as well. And the other one, of course, when Brian Oviedo slotted against David Moyes, Man United as it was then. But really, overall in the Premier League, it's been an absolute nightmare of a ground. I remember walking out, I think, it was a 3 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday. We got off about 4:20, I think, because we went 5-1 down. We took the lead in that game as well, I think, and could have gone 2-0 up, but we hit the post. So yeah, things have never really gone well for us. Go back to last season, we really should have come away with something there, and there was just a ridiculous penalty decision. We never get anything there, and given United's recent upturn in fortunes, we probably won't get anything this weekend. Certainly not the referee anyway, so it's going to be all down to us. The good news is, last week against Chelsea, the Blues looked really galvanised. They pulled together, they pressed at the right times, and I think some things that Ferguson's maybe not been given enough credit for is the substitutions he made in that game. You know, people question his managerial acumen, I suppose, but last week he got everything pretty much spot on. I mean, I know there was a lot of, bemusement, I'd say, certainly from me and a few of the people I was speaking to about the team selection with the midfield of Sigurdsson and Schneiderlin, but it all worked well. They all played for each other, they all pressed at the right time. I thought they were going to run themselves into the ground after an hour, but they kept going and got a really convincing win. In the end, tomorrow will be different at Old Trafford. They are on the back of a great run of form lately, good Europa Cup results, beat Tottenham, beat Man City away. You know, they are 3 massive results going into this game, and they really will fancy themselves. So it's going to be a case of, can we put in that level of performance again, and have we got enough to sort of, break down a team that's really on a massive high. Fingers crossed we will. One big miss, and I never thought I'd say this, it looks like Morgan Schneiderlin's going to be missing now. I never thought I'd be sorry to see him out of the team, but given how he played last week, going back to his old club, this could have been a really good game for him. He is going to be a big miss tomorrow. I think Theo Walcott could be out as well, but if we play to the same formula as we did last week, we've got the players to come in. Hopefully Bernard will get back in the team. Could be a midfielder, Tom Davis and Gylfi Sigurdsson. If we play to our capacity like we did last week, we could get something from this. And if we hold a good defensive line, Man United could struggle to break us down. They have got the quality there in Marcus Rashford, Anthony Martial up front. But Anthony Martial is one of those players who you can sort of push out of the game. He doesn't find the space probably as well as he should, and you can eke him out of the game. Saying that, he'll probably lash a hat-trick in tomorrow, and I've said that, and he'll have the game of his life. But we don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. I asked Mark, Matt and Adam what they thought the score would be. Here's what they said.
So whilst the thought of Duncan Ferguson taking an Everton team to Old Trafford is, for most Blues, a pretty romantic one, I think we're going to need a little bit more than sentiment to get something out of what is always a tough game for Everton. I don't necessarily think that the Old Trafford fear factor is there like it once was. But trying to relay that to teams in recent years has been pretty difficult. They, in typical Everton fashion, have hit a pretty good run of form at the moment. If you would have told me a few weeks ago that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would get the best of Jose Mourinho and Pep Guardiola in the same week, then no one would have believed it. And they've obviously backed that up with a pretty solid performance in the Europa League this week as well. So it's going to be a tough outing for Everton. We need to be all of the things that we were against Chelsea at Goodison Park last Saturday. Robust in the tackle, organised at the back, resilient when things aren't going our way, and able to ride out really tough spells, which we know that any team going to Old Trafford are going to come under fire at some point. And we need to take our opportunities going forward. As good as this United side have been in recent weeks, we know that we've got players who are capable of causing damage. And obviously, first and foremost, in someone like Richarlison, someone who's in such a good run of goal-scoring form, you get the feeling at the moment that anything that drops his way is probably going to hit the back of the net, in particular in the air. So Everton need to use those opportunities to put good balls in from wide positions, which we have seen in recent weeks, predominantly from Jibril Sidibe. And it's important to not have that intrinsic fear of going to a so-called bigger side and playing within yourself. Hopefully that is something that Duncan Ferguson is able to bring out in these players and bring out in Everton, is that sense of inner pride and that freedom to play, which a lot of the players should be feeling at the moment in this kind of interim phase. So I think Everton are definitely capable of getting something out of the game. You wouldn't back against Richarlison getting on the score sheet again this week. So I'll go for Manchester United 1, Everton 1, and Richarlison to get that all-important goal.
It's Old Trafford on Sunday for Everton. It's going to be another interesting game. Feels like ages ago since we last played against Chelsea. And it's going to be an interesting test for Duncan Ferguson and his side. Obviously, against Chelsea last weekend, it was very much a case of the Blues feeding off that Goodison energy, feeding off his enthusiasm, and the tackles and the numbers and the nature of the performance sort of was in line with that. This game against Manchester United feels like it's going to be very different. Everton won't be able to be as open, won't be able to be as charging around the pitch as they were at the weekend. So I think it's going to be a test of Ferguson and his managerial ability, to be honest. United have obviously been able to find some form as of late. They've got fantastic players like Rashford and Daniel James who have really come into form. Obviously they beat Manchester City last weekend as well, so it's going to be tough. But I think they have struggled against sides this season that are deep sitting, that are not really willing to get out of the shape, and I think that's going to be Everton's game plan going here. It's going to have to keep the shape and try and spring on the counter-attack. I think they might get something from this one. Nevertheless, I feel as though we've got players in attack who can cause them problems on the break, and Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin in particular. I think Everton might get an early goal in this one, maybe catch United off guard and then have to cling on a little bit, but I reckon it's going to be a 1-1 draw. And to be honest, I will be absolutely fine with that going into the game against Leicester this week. So fingers crossed the Toffees should come away with a positive result, and we can all go into that game against Leicester at Goodison Park in good spirits.
And just like that, they pull you right back in. Everton with an amazing performance on the weekend against Chelsea, who showed glimpses of being a very, very good side, one that is definitely be challenging for the top four this year. But Duncan Ferguson brought something different to Goodison. He brought a real unity, a real passion and fight, which was portrayed both by the players and the fans. However, Manchester United are a totally different beast. They've hit a rich vein of form recently. With that win at the Etihad on the weekend, they'll be right up for this one on Sunday. So I think we need to do something a little bit different. We can't maybe go as gung-ho, as high pressing or as hard tackling. But I just got a feeling that we're going to get another positive result. I don't think the Blues will be able to get the 3 points, but I fancy us to get a draw, and I'm going to go for 2-2. And I think that man Richarlison's going to score again.
The lad's cautiously optimistic there, and no one's predicted us to get beat, which I don't think's happened in, I can't remember the last time. I think me and Matt have predicted defeats for us every week for about the past 6, it seems. But yeah, everyone's saying they think we'll get a draw out the game. I am inclined to agree. I'm going to go with Matt and Mark, and I'm going to say it's a 1-1 draw. And I think Richarlison will carry on that rich vein of goal scoring form that he's in. I think he's just in brilliant form. I think if we play him and Calvert-Lewin up front again, they help each other out massively, and they can really do the number on the centre halves because they don't stop running. And you know, Richarlison run himself into the ground last week, Calvert-Lewin did, and I think if we can get that level of performance again, then we could get something out of this. The only worry is we've got 2 really important games coming up next week as well. Arsenal at home and obviously Leicester at home in the Cup. If it was to pick a game to win out of all 3, I'd have to go with Leicester. Progression in this Cup, you know, we win this game, we're in the semi-final. That's what it's all about. I know we're in a terrible position in the league, made a bit brighter after the win against Chelsea last week, and we can't really afford to lose these next 2 league games either. But I don't know if we're going to have to keep something in the tank for Leicester, and then again for Arsenal at home, because they're going to be 2 really, really tough games in their own right. Hopefully the team won't be thinking about that. To coin a cliche, we've just got to take every game as it comes now. We're not in a position where we can pick and choose really. what games we fancy. We've just got to win everything we can just to get ourselves out of this rut. We beat Man United the weekend. I don't think we're too far behind them. I think they're in 5th or 6th. So, you know, it is all there to play for. They're in the better form. We've been lifted massively by that result last week. And then there's Duncan Ferguson going back to Old Trafford, where I think he did all right in the past. So fingers crossed he can do the same again. No odds again this week from Fansbet. That's all on me. I actually forgot to ask them for the odds. But if you want to put any of those bets on, 1-1, 2-2, Charlton to score, whatever, go to fansbet.com and see what the odds are for that. One bet I would consider putting on is for Man United to get a penalty. They've had 8 penalties so far this season, which is a mad amount of penalties to have as we're just halfway through December. So I think given what happened last season, given the amount of penalties they've been getting this season, I think they could be good for a penalty. Whether they'll score it or not, that's another matter, because Pickford in goal. I know he's been getting a lot of stick, but he's very good on penalties. And to be honest, I still think he's a good keeper. It's just none of the team's been performing. And these things happen, you know, if players hit a dip in form, you just notice it a lot more when it's a goalkeeper. But hopefully we'll get a big performance from him. If you are on Fansbet, do have a look at the stuff they do for the fan initiatives. They give 50% of all their profits to fan initiatives. If you do any Fans Boost bets, remember the maximum stake is £25, and do always gamble responsibly. That's all for this week's show. Good luck to the Toffees on Sunday. I think we'll have a post-match. Don't know if we'll have one on YouTube, but we'll definitely have a post-match podcast. And then we'll have all the usual Blue Monday and the usual podcasts next week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Up the Toffees.